Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for also so much for covering the second Africa Climate Summit since yesterday. Yesterday marks a high-level political commitment from Africa and beyond on designing the future of climate. Day 2 runs smoothly with Ethiopia receiving appreciation and feeling comfort as per the feedback we received from the participants along the co-leaders. Today's briefing on Day 2 of African Climate Summit focused on adaptation, resilient, spotlight African climate risk, and scalable response as September 9 is dedicated to this agenda. I am blessed to inform you of some of the key pledges or announcements achieved today. Ethiopia and Italy signed Memorandum of Understanding to strengthen cooperation on sustainable development and climate action. The Minister of Planning and Development of the Republic of Ethiopia and the Minister of Environment and Energy Security for the Italian Republic this morning signed a Memorandum of Understanding to deepen bilateral cooperation in the field of sustainable development and climate change, particularly implementing the National Adaptation Plan of Ethiopia. The agreement signed by myself and as Ethiopia State Minister of Planning and Development and His Excellency Claudio Barbero and the Secretary of State Minister of Environment and Energy Security of Italy reaffirms the strong partnership between Ethiopia and Italy and their shared commitment to advance the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the Paris Agreement on Climate Change, and other international framework. Under the MOU, the two countries will work together to promote climate-resilient food system and sustainable agriculture practice to strengthen adaptation to droughts, floods, and extreme weathers, enhancing sustainable water management and safeguarding water-related ecosystem to reduce climate-induced water security, advance sustainable consumption and production patterns, strengthen cooperation to combat climate change and its impact, in the line with the Paris Agreement, and build capacity for development countries in implementing sustainable development goals. The agreement is part of the Government of Italy's commitment under the Italian Climate Fund, whose annual resource is 4.2 billion, are devoted for 70% to support cooperation activities in the African continent, where today's MOU offsetted the engagement of Ethiopia in the initiative, benefiting the country to implement its national adaptation plan. This agreement is about enhancing the adaptive capacity of Ethiopia economy, not aid. Joint initiative will include support for Ethiopian National Adaptation Plan, development of multi-hazard early warning systems, promotion of adaptive social protection measures for vulnerable groups, and the strengthening of national coordination mechanism for climate action. The MOU will remain in effect for 5 years with the option of renewal by mutual agreement. Denmark, Norway joined Ethiopia's in Green Legacy Initiative forums. The side event held at the Ethiopian Pavilion focused on Ethiopian Green Legacy Initiative and was organized by the government of Norway, Denmark, and Ethiopia with additional support from Italy's Ministry of Environment, Energy Security, and an UNDP. The session showcased Ethiopia's Green Legacy Initiative, launched in 2019 by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed to reverse the land degradation, restoration ecosystem, and then building climate resilient and then effectively responding to the challenge posed by climate change. The Green Legacy Initiative managed to plant over 40 billion seedlings, in which the initiative aimed to plant 50 billion trees nationwide, reinforcing Ethiopia's broader national determined contribution and long-term low emission and climate resilient development strategy. The speakers at the side event of Ethiopia Green Legacy Initiative held in Ethiopian Pavilion noted Ethiopia's progress, including a sharp decline in deforestation, combining with major afforestation and reforestation efforts. The Oromia Forest Landscape Programs alone has sequestrated over 50 million tons of carbon dioxide, demonstrating the value of REDD+, reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation in generating climate finance while protecting livelihoods. Contribution from other African countries reinforce the theme of African solution. Ghana shared lessons from its judicially REDD+ approach, stressing inclusive process, community benefit shared, and private sector involvement. Uganda underlined challenges posed by agriculture, fuel wood and fire wildfires, but pointed new agroforestry strategy as a pathway for resilience. The 10-year development plan was launched in 2021 to guide Ethiopia towards climate resilient green development by 2030, integrating sustainable practice in agriculture, forest, energy, transport, water, and an urban and industry sector. The integration of nature-based solutions into nationally determined contribution and aligning with net zero strategy by 2050. Ethiopia has institutionalized the climate change agenda into planning through restructuring the institution to effectively address coordination challenges where the country embedded climate action into sectoral planning while balancing for security, agriculture, and forest. The Green Legacy Initiative was presented by Ethiopia and partner countries such as Norway and Denmark as a flagship African model for nature-based climate solution. With the deforestation slowing, massive tree planting underway, and the REDD Plus delivering result, Ethiopia and its partners see the initiative as center for achieving climate resilient and sustainable development. The dialogue affirms the importance of forests in rewriting Africa's economic and climate scripts, placing community as center for both environment and economic transformation. Leaders at Bloomberg's Climate Source Gathering of Minds on Renewable declared that this is the moment for Africa. Ethiopia urges this afternoon that Africa leaders and the private sector to prioritize investment in renewables. Ethiopia spoke at a side event titled Accelerating Africa's Renewable Development, the opportunity, which was convened by Bloomberg Philanthropy and the Climate Work Foundation to explore how Africa can harness renewable energy to drive its green industrialization agenda. The session brought together high-level speakers, including higher officials from the Ambassador Ali Mohammed, Kenya's Special Envoy for Climate Change, Helen Mountford, CEO and President of Climate Work Foundation, and an Ambassador Salwin Hart, Special Advisor to the UN Secretary General on Climate Action and Just Transition. I, in my capacity as Ethiopian State Minister, as the Minister of Planning and Development, I am also honored to deliver my statement on behalf of the Ethiopian government. The high-level session promoted the enormous potential of renewable for Africa's economic transformation and in climate future. While the continent has vast untapped potential, accelerating progress will depend on scaling finance, expanding regional power trade, diversifying energy sources, and ensuring equitable access. Helen Mount notes that under a green transition scenario, Africa could create 40 million jobs and significant boosted, and yet the continent currently accounts for 1.5% of global renewable capacity. She welcomed signing of the progress and citing comments announced at the African Green Industrialization, where major banks and pledged billions to accelerate Africa in a clean energy. So with this, I just conclude my press briefing. Thank you very much.
It's all right, sir. All the leaders and